Welcome to the Strategy Mob Podcast. Tune in for everything you need to know to stay in the know regarding the automotive industry. Here's your host, Jason Harris.
Hey, what's going on, Podcast Nation? It is Jason Harris here, and thank you for joining me another episode of Strategy with Jason. Today, I have a very exciting guest. I'm excited because they're excited. We're all excited. We're going to have some big conversations today, some that might actually get us in trouble, but I'm okay with that because they're really good conversations. I have Colin Richardson with me today. Colin, thank you so much for taking the time to jam with me. How you doing?
I'm great, Jason. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Hey, for everybody out there, Colin, who, don't know about you or kind of how you got started in the industry, I always kind of like to start off these podcasts with a little origin story. So what is the origin story of how Colin got started in this crazy little world we call the automotive industry?
Well, I like the fact you call it an origin story because that's a little bit different than what I've heard before instead of going through my background in a boring way. But
Or story? I don't know. It depends.
I got started in the business actually in Winnipeg, Manitoba many years ago. I applied for a job with Chrysler Canada and as a distribution clerk. And the beauty about that was, Jason, is I got hired and a month later, I got promoted to a district sales manager.
Nice, congrats.
Through no performance of my own, and I got selected because I was the only person sitting left after they cut everybody out of the office, and that's when Chrysler was going through some serious headcount cutbacks and everything like that in the field sales staff. So I was the only one sitting, only warm body sitting in a chair. So the zone manager, Jim Kenny, looked at me and said, "How about him?" And I was on the road, and that's how I got started in the car business. Worked for Chrysler for 3 years, moved to Toronto from out west with Toyota Canada, spent 10 years there with Toyota Canada and Lexus Canada in varying roles, leaving as a national operations manager for Lexus Canada, where I did the first Lexus expansion in Canada.
Nice.
And from there, had a short stint at Reynolds and Reynolds, which you're familiar with as the DMS company. Went to Porsche as a regional manager, was there for about 9 years, I think. It was about 9 years. Spent about a year and a half as regional manager reporting into Atlanta at PCNA. Then I got promoted to general manager. I was actually mountain biking in Moab, Utah with some buddies, and I got a call from the COO, my boss, Michael Barch, saying, "Yeah, we're making you a GM, part of the senior leadership team for Porsche Cars North America." From there, I became director of operations when Porsche Cars Canada separated from Porsche Cars North America, and was there about 9 years. There's some duplication of roles, and basically my role was phased out as operations director. That was replaced by a sales director with less scope as far as the operations in Canada goes. Mm-hmm. And then from there, I've done a variety of things. I worked for Chris Pfaff for a while, as a personal friend of mine, as a general manager on contract for 6 months at his Audi Vaughan store. I worked as a vice president of Eastern Canada operations for Auto Canada, which you're familiar with, which is the largest, the only publicly traded dealer group in Canada. And I was there 6 months. And unfortunately, again, the position that was created new for me was basically taken away because, if you're familiar with Auto Canada, the stock was $90, and at that time it was about $8.
Yeah.
So the cost cutting and the reorganization, my position that was created was now gone. So, and then from there, basically what I've done, Jason, is created my own thing. I worked for a year and a half with AutoPoint. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you're familiar with AutoPoint. Oh, yeah. They're basically a service solution suite for service departments and dealerships. Very, very good company, but unfortunately the vast majority of products that they had were not available in Canada. So, and then from there, I'm doing my own thing now, Omni-Channel Automotive Solutions, which focuses on dealer groups and suppliers, then also OEMs where applicable, but mostly dealer groups, and basically working with them with their operations.
And you know what? Operations could not be more important now than ever have been before. We had a chance to kind of talk about this before we hit the record button today. But, look, moving forward, especially times like this, this reminds me so much back in 2008, is that we're going to have to process our way to profitability. There are no magic diet pills here. There's no, wand that's going to just magically have people show up and buy cars. And I think that's kind of what a lot of our conversation is going to be around today. And I love hearing your origin story, man, because it's like you can tell that it's in your blood. And the automotive industry is just one of those things. Like once it gets in your blood, you can't get the damn thing out. And no matter what you do, you just keep coming back around to the automotive space. Now, I know we got a lot of really cool topics today, and I want to start off with this one because I think it's a great one right out of the gate because it's the death of the box. Well, first thing first, why the hell do we call it a box? I mean, talk about we have stupid names in our industry for a handful of things, but this has got to be like the stupidest name in the world. All right, but I'm glad to hear that the box is dying because actually I'll tell you a funny story. I actually watched a salesperson actually tell a customer, "Follow me. We have to go to the box." And I can almost tell immediately. I can look on the look on his face. He was like, "Oh crap! Did I actually just say that out loud?" But I love the fact that you said the box is dying. But I love to kind of hear your thoughts and opinions of why it's dying and how that's going to impact our industry.
Well, I mean, F&I think, first off, it's never been a better time for you, myself, and people doing what we're doing to be in the industry. I mean, this is truly exciting, and we're seeing the transition, and the F&I office, the box is something that is still being done in dealerships. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I think it's going away completely in the next 5 years. Most dealers are going to one point of contact, where a sales consultant or whatever we call them, product angel, basically does the process from beginning to end. And it's proven fact that your F&I gross per new vehicle retail does not go down if done correctly. And also with the digital side of it, when you're doing a 100% online sale, is if it's presented properly to the customer, your F&I gross per new vehicle does not go down. It can stay where it is, but it can actually go up. So it's that not the confrontation that you have with an F&I manager. It's just that feeling of unease, and people do not want to be at unease, and they have the choice now to not be in that situation, whether it's just ignoring going into the F&I office or, doing it now. Some dealers have been doing it online now, as far as Zoom video and things like that with customers that have bought. But there's ways to do it where the customer makes the decision based on the quality and the suitability of the product. And that's the way it should be.
Well, and that's the key, right? It's for the customer. It's the customer that look, we're not saying that as an industry we're removing that as a process. All right. What we're saying is the customer freaking hates it. Like it's horrible. Like it's like, I mean, think about the high, think about all the emotion, think about all the energy that goes through. It's like, okay, I did this test drive, man, this car smells good. It feels good. I'm excited. I'm jacked. All right. Then I got to go through the price negotiation, which again, that's a whole nother process I think has to die on itself. All right. And then, so then there's kind of these ups and downs of emotions doing that. And then I finally get out of that up and down emotional space. And then I'm like, okay, I've signed the deal. Oh, but wait, we have one more emotional roller coaster for you to screw up your life. And then we stick them in the but I love the fact that you're saying like it's the customer's choice. And I think that's kind of the reason why the box is dying is because the customer is now kind of in control of that. Do you feel the same way?
Oh, definitely. I mean, a lot of dealers and a lot of general managers in the industry are going to listen to what we're talking about, and they're going to say, "No way! It's a profit center." Blah blah. It's going away, and the customer's determining that. And by doing the proper F&I sales pitch, whether it's at the beginning of the sale where you're making it available to the customer, even if they don't buy it at the time that they transact the deal, there's opportunities to go back to that customer. And you know how many customers buy F&I products after the fact? A lot. Tire and wheel protection, things like that. They buy that stuff like crazy, as long as it's presented in a way on the customer's terms.
Well, it's got to be presented on their customer terms. And I think what it is that as an industry, we have to be flexible to the customer now, right? Look, I've been in the business to know all about the 12-step sales process and how I have to maintain control the entire time. And it's like, they're going to go through my process. It ain't going to be theirs. It's mine. Why? Because my statistically shows that it works every time. That's not true. right? Like even within my own dealership, when I had my Mitsubishi dealership, the more control I put into the customer's hands, the higher profitability I was on a per transaction basis, and I closed higher. So, for everybody out there that's fearful to give up that control, the cool thing is I think that I hate to find silver linings during a pandemic, but this is possibly a silver lining, is
Yeah.
that as an industry, we've been forced to give up control to the
Yeah.
customer, and they now kind of say, like, no, this is when I want to do it, this is how I want to do it. I read an interesting stat, and I want to get your kind of thoughts on this, because I thought this was so cool. It's actually a Canadian company that actually did this. They surveyed 2,000 in-market shoppers, right? And they asked them a whole series of questions, in-market automotive shoppers, whole series of questions. And one of the questions they asked them would be, would you be willing to fill out a finance application before you came into the dealership? 72% of the 2,000 said yes.
Mhm.
I was like, whoa. I mean, that was high. I thought that was really high, right?
Yeah.
But then the cool thing is they had a follow-up question. So why would you be willing to do that? And the biggest reasons were because they thought it would save time and it would increase transparency within the transaction. And,
Yeah.
I love to kind of get your thoughts on that as well.
Yeah, I agree as far as transparency goes, and they want to get it out of the way. But the process that some dealers are doing now is they basically present, instead of a dealer or customer going online and looking at inventory first. The first thing in the process is the budget, because as you know, when somebody's surfing a website for a new or pre-owned vehicle, they go to what they think looks cool and everything like that. They spend all their time on the website looking at stuff they want to buy, and then at the end of the day, they realize they can't buy it because it's too much money. So by putting that up front, it definitely creates, it increases the speed in the transaction or the process. But I just think it's something that's necessary. And instead of wasting time and at the end kind of getting into this fact and finding out the customer can't afford the vehicle, just is a waste of everybody's time. And the customer right now is not in a position that they want to waste any time buying a car.
And for a lot of reasons. It's because they're looking for convenience, because right now they're used to it.
Yeah.
I mean, Colin, everything's fucking convenient right now.
Yeah.
Everything is like, I'm hungry. Uber Eats is convenient, like I got to go to a grocery store. I'm forced to right now. I'm looking, like, I understand people that are watching, listening, you guys may not have the same lockdown as kind of we do, but it's still a very big thing right now. We're just coming out of a mandatory or a very heavily recommended stay at home. Kids have been out of school, so like, that's where we are right now, where the two of us are. But I think that we're so used to convenience now that we're looking for this convenience, and the customer is going to default to any opportunity they can have to make that process more convenient for them. But I think this also is a good kind of segue into kind of the next kind of topic is that now, since there's this element of convenience and the customer's looking for this element of convenience, and I love the fact that, the Canadian automotive industry is waking up to being a finance first, car second kind of methodology, because I'm originally from the States and that was always the case. But that also now kind of goes into that segue into the next topic, is that there's no showroom traffic. Oh my gosh, do you hear this like all the time right now? There's no showroom traffic. There's no showroom traffic. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing, though, but I want to get your take on, no showroom traffic.
Well, I've been on the retail and the OEM side, and done facilities at Porsche, Toyota, Lexus, and it was always bigger, better, the 25 car showroom, and I think we're realizing now that the boutique studio type experience is as valuable, if not more valuable, if done correctly. I still think I love going to a Porsche store, South Porsche,
it's an amazing experience,
and monkeying around looking at cars. But I'm a car guy, and I understand the process, and I know the folks there, so it's easy for me to get around. But the showroom, traffic is down, and it's going to continue to be down because most people do all their research, even traffic in your store and demo drives and stuff like that. You have so many Porsche dealerships. You have 5 in the GTA now, 4 in the GTA, whatever it is. And, they can test drive a vehicle anywhere, and then they can go transact somewhere else, but they can transact online. They don't need to go back to the store. So B-backs and things like that. So you have to get them digitally. And when they do come into the store, they need to have that experience about what can I, get away from what can I do to earn your business today? It's it's gone, or it's going. It's not gone. I still hear it, but it's going.
No,
and
I
it has to, and the customer is determining that, and the showroom will. So, we work on a project right now with a company out of the UK that is reappropriating facilities. So if you have the 25 car showroom, it's known fact that service departments are too small in most cases.
Sure.
And experience areas, whether it's virtual walkarounds, things like that within the showroom, those areas can be reappropriated for proper use of that square footage, as opposed to having all these beautiful cars, 25, 30 car showroom, and no one's in the showroom. How many times have you walked in a showroom, Jason, and you've seen these nice big, nice displays, cars spaced out nicely and everything like that, and there's no one in the showroom?
Oh, look, it's really common right now. There's
All the time.
there's no people in the showroom.
And it's going to remain that way.
Oh, 100%. Like I just had this big meeting with a dealer group that we work with, and they're like, our showroom traffic's down like 57%. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. Your website traffic's up 117% year over year. So
and you're doing nothing with that. So.
I know. I'm like, it's like, where have all the customers gone? It's like, no, they're there. You're just not. I like this though. Again, this is another silver lining, right? It's, for years I've been preaching the importance of your digital dealership, right? And it's like, we'll spend millions of dollars building these Taj Mahals. All right. And then it's like, we'll go get the cheapest dollar store version of the digital version of that, just so that we can check off the proverbial box that it's done. Now the customers are there. They want to interact with us. They want to engage with us there. They want to do more online before they come in. I'm not saying they don't want to come in. I still think majority of people want to come in because, to your point, you said it earlier, it's a great experience. It's a $50 million building. Like, it's cool. Yeah. It looks cool. I mean, I was at a dealership the other day. They had cars mounted on the walls. Yeah. I'm like, this is cool. I want to be a part of that. But they're online now, and I think that changes the sales structure, which is another topic that we're kind of talk about, right? It's like, how's the sales structure change? And I think that fundamentally changes that. But I want to get your thoughts and opinion on that.
When you say sales structure, you're talking about the sales floor or the digital process leading up to that, or
you know what? I think it's almost kind of hard to say. Is there really, because before it would be like two sales processes, right? You'd kind of have your online one, and then you have your in dealership one. And I'm almost at the point now where I'm like, I don't think there is two separate processes here. I think it starts online, it finishes in the store, but it's one singular process. The fact before, you know what I mean? I want to hear your thoughts.
I mean, okay. Yeah. I mean, I do disagree that if you're looking at, more and more consumers are transacting 100% online. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a small percentage, but as an example, the largest volume Land Rover dealership in the UK, Rockard Land Rover Jaguar, they're the largest volume dealership out of 170 Land Rover stores in the UK. And they're number one in volume after 3 years of being in business. Number one in volume. Their gross is in the top quartile. Mm-hmm. And their net promoter score and their Trustpilot rating is the number one in the UK. Mm-hmm. And they do it with salaried salespeople on the sales floor. They have a 4-car showroom in a mall, a large mall just outside of London. Yeah, they have off-site service about 10 minutes away, and 70% of their vehicles are sold all online.
No, and look, I definitely think that there are customers out there that want to do the entire transaction online, and I find that those types of brands yield more to that because, look, especially for a Land Rover. I mean, Range Rover's been the exact same car for 13 years. I need my new one. Okay, well, fine. This has been added and that's been added. That's about the extent of it, right? We'll send you a new one. Don't worry about it, right? But no, I agree with you. But then I still think, like, even like right now, like there are people that are loving an experience. Like they want to go out. Like I can't wait. I gotta be honest with you. I can't wait to actually sit down in a restaurant again. I don't know if you watch any of my videos. I enjoy sitting down in restaurants and shooting videos. So it's like, I'm super excited about being able to go do that again. But I think, to your point, and it's a great point, is that we can't have a singular sales structure anymore. Like we have to have, 4 or 5 different variations of almost like, it's hold up the cards. Which one do you want? How do you want to do this? Do you want the fast pass? Yeah. Do you want the online pass? Do you want the come in and negotiate for 4.5 hour pass? Because we're open to doing it. You just have to tell us how you want to move forward. I mean, I think that's kind of the key, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's moving in and out of the process. And to go back to my 70% online purchase, and those numbers are available from Rockart Digital, and I can give you the contact for that.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean they haven't been in a dealership. I mean, they will go to a store, they'll test drive at another store, but they go home, they go through the experience. So basically, when I say they transacted online, they pick the vehicle they want. They can do it in a boutique environment if they want to, but they do transact at home and everything's done online. So they do still like to go to the store as you and I like to do. Yes. So, you know, I go crazy when I talk to a group and you going back to the digital side of it, internet leads, iLeads. And how many dealer groups are still doing this when an iLead comes in? As soon as it comes in, it goes to either a BDC or sales manager or whoever, and it goes to the next salesperson in line.
Yep. Now,
Jason, that is the absolute worst possible thing you can do with that valuable lead.
100% I agree.
And they do it with lease renewals. So the guy that originally leased the vehicle, contact your customer. You have two guys, the lease renewals at BMW. One guy closes at 55% of his lease renewals. Another guy closes at 15.
Yep.
The guy at 15 gets his lease renewals back.
Oh no! Look, I know it's crazy. I was just working with the dealership the other day in their VIN Solutions account, right? And I was blown away the size of this group that there was one internet lead, like syntax or process. That was it. Like I was like, what are you talking about? There's like 15 different types of customers. Right? You have like, and they were still using the same templates and syntax for existing customers versus new customers. And I'm like, holy crap, come on, it's 2021, right? And I think that's probably a big change kind of as far as our sales structure is that we have to have a process now for every customer, for every type of customer that's out there. You know, or at least what it is, we have to bake in the ability to be flexible within our structure, because we've been in the business long enough to know that a sales structure in the past has never been flexible. But today it has to be flexible. I'd love to kind of hear from you of like, how flexible do you think we need to be in that sales process?
As flexible as the customer requires.
Mm.
And that sounds like I'm not being facetious when I say that.
Give me an example. Give me an example.
You get a customer that's online. Okay. I sent an iLead, and this has actually happened to me on a BMW M4. And I sent the message in. The response back was, and I'm being facetious a little bit, but the crux of it, when can you come in?
Jeez.
And it's like,
are you serious?
Not who you are, not what you're looking for. What are you currently driving? Like nothing.
This blows my mind.
So anyway, so if you do go in, I didn't go in, but you should use that as an example. So if, let's say I do go in and I say, okay, can I see this car, everything like that? And, they want my driver's license and everything like that before I can take it for a test drive and all that stuff like that. Then they want to sit down with me. Mm-hmm. Okay. If I want to walk out of that store, they have my contact information, but first off, they've already lost me because that experience is just not how I want to do business. But for the guy that does go in, now all of a sudden he gets thrown back into the original process. Okay, now he's a lead on the showroom floor. So take him through the process. They have to be flexible to do the other thing, basically follow up with that customer and find out what they need to do, find out what they're driving, find out what their needs are, find out what their budget is, find out what their trade is, blah, 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 blah.
You know what? Don't you think that the traditional salesperson model then has to fundamentally change? Like I'm just, I got a lot of heat for saying this recently, for saying the used car manager position is no longer needed or the most useless one. But I was meaning it in the sense of the old tradition, the traditional used car manager model. But I'm even willing to say that today, I think the traditional salesperson's model has to die. And something has to be reborn out of that. And I think the foundation of that is flexibility. So I want to get your thoughts on the death of the salesman.
Yeah, I don't think it's good. That does sound kind of harsh. And they won't want to hear it. But I would say it would be reinvention of the sales advisor, consultant, whatever we want to call them, because again, the data. So a lot of dealers have moved to, one point of contact, which is proven to increase sales, which is proven to increase gross, and definitely increases customer satisfaction.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, the example I gave you, Rockart Land Rover, product angels that they have at Rockart, Jaguar, Land Rover, they pay them a salary. They're all from outside the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Their experience is better. Their gross is in the top quartile, and their volume, they're number one in the UK. So they're doing something right. Excuse me. Sorry. So, and again, if you look at the variable cost and expense of a dealership, and if you have a high-end store and the average compensation at a Porsche side, just as an example, I'm not going to give any specifics that I know, but, say it's $100,000 a year,
yep,
$120,000 a year. You can replace them with a person that's $50,000 a year, Canadian, and they will go through an actual process with the customer that's customer friendly, and your variable expense goes down by greater than 50%.
Yes.
On top of that, you no longer have an F&I manager because that's your one point of contact, and you no longer have a sales manager. You have a manager on the floor that basically anything that needs to be addressed can be addressed, but there's no back and forth, everything like that, because it's market price. The vehicle's market price. So that is coming. I mean, that's in the market right now. I can give you examples of that, and even in the GTA. I will say the FAF Group, they're going to market pricing, and that's advertised on their website, and that's the way to go. It's going to happen. And the OEM is going to dictate that when they have agency agreements in a particular market.
That's a good point. In fact, I was actually going to bring that up because I am seeing more and more of that. I mean, heck, even my own Mitsubishi dealership, when I had my dealership, was the exact same way, right? Like I paid everyone a salary. There wasn't, and then there wasn't commission. There were volume bonuses that as a team collectively we were able to hit a volume level, but I didn't pay out commissions for a lot of reasons. I don't even necessarily understand how much control a salesperson has over the profitability of a transaction anymore. That was one of my big ones. And the other thing too is I didn't want it to get in the way of the customer experience that I was trying to create. So the goal, I had to remove that because it was causing issues. But then I think that changes when that starts to change, right? Then it's like it almost kind of creates like this domino effect of change throughout everything, to the point where I think even OEM franchise agreements start to change. We've seen some examples of this. You were talking about an example before we started recording, so let's do that. You've seen some examples of the OEM franchise agreement changing. How are they changing?
Okay, I mean, one manufacturer, so Rockart Digital, is now working with BMW AG, and their pilot market is now complete, and it's BMW South Africa, and that consists of 84 BMW, Mini, and Motorrad dealerships. Okay, they went to an agency agreement with BMW South Africa. BMW SA controls the inventory, they control the market price, which they set, they control the programs within that. The dealer is paid an agency fee or I'm not going to say a commission because the customer determines where they want to buy the car, but they're paid basically a handling fee and a delivery fee, which ends up being higher than the gross the dealer would have got negotiating with the customer anyway.
Exactly.
And you implement people on the sales floor that now are focused on treating that customer the way they want to be treated, following up properly, bring them through the process, going through the configurator on the tablet and everything like that. Never with, what can I do to earn your business today? Exactly. And the F&I process is the same. So Jason, I can send you an article, okay? Because BMW AG is going to roll out. Maybe I'll get a terrible message from them knowing, what are you doing talking about our strategy? But they are going to roll it out to other markets globally. I can send you an article that confirms that the 84 dealerships in South Africa would not go back to doing business the way they were doing business before.
I think there's just so many inefficiencies, right? Like, look, as an industry, we've always said that we are a people business, right? Yeah. Well, we say that kind of off to the side of our mouths. You know what I mean? Like, this actually makes us a people business because now you have an clearly defined process, all right? And the differentiating factor is the people's ability to execute that process at the highest level. So it really becomes a people business. Right now, it's not necessarily a people business. I actually think we're a superstar business. We will bend over backwards and flex and change and get rid of systems if our superstars, our 30 car a month people, don't freaking want to do it. Like that fundamentally changes everything. We go from, I think, more of a team people business and away from that superstar culture. How do you think that's going to affect, I think, the industry as a whole, in the sense of like how we hire and who we look to hire moving forward?
Okay, well, this has been a long time rant of mine. And first off, I also want to go back to that question in a second.
Mhm.
I want to go, I'm a big fan of dealer franchises and the people that I've worked with, both in Canada and a little bit in the US. I'm a big fan of many of them. And I don't think that model's going away anytime soon.
No.
But they're going to do the new car side, not that, but I mean, we all know grosses on new cars have gone down. There's more pressure on new car. The differentiators are going to be pre-owned, which is huge.
Yep.
Service and any peripheral, mobility as a solution, things like that. Those peripherals are going to determine retention and things like that in the profitability of the store. So I don't think it's going away. I'm a big fan, and I'm going to continue to work with dealer groups because I think that's a very, very cool business model.
Mm-hmm.
So back to what you were saying. Sorry, what was it, Jason?
In a sense of like, how does that change, the way that we put our teams together, knowing that these franchises, they're going to change?
Yeah. I mean, if I go in, and again, some people aren't going to like this. I put it in print a few times, but if I walk into 10 stores, there's probably 8 general managers that are not business people.
Sure.
They're sales managers generally. They're service managers maybe that have been promoted up through the ranks. They're not business people. And I'm not saying the experience doesn't help, but it doesn't help operating a dealership when you have accountability and for the profit and loss of that store. So again, and maybe there's one group in Canada that I would say 8 out of 10 are good, solid business people. And I'm going to say who it is. It's Canada One Auto Group out of Edmonton, which is Pat Priestner's private group. Pat started Auto Canada. He's no longer with Auto Canada as chairman, but he's got probably the best business group of general managers I've seen. So it's possible and it can be done, but it's an accountability structure. So when you're hiring people, I'm not saying go outside the industry, but hire people and basically quantify and vet them based on business ability. Do they have the financial acumen and things like that? But just because you have NADA course does not make you a business person. And I'm going to say that flat out. And again, NDA graduates will go, what the hell does he know? He's never sold retail. He's never done this. Well, okay, because I see it daily. Okay. It's just, so it's the quality of the leaders in the dealership, Jason, that are key. And the quality of the leaders in the dealership today is not great. And there's some great ones.
No, I agree with you. Look, I know some amazing leaders within the dealership, but I hate to say it's been in our culture and definitely kind of a standard within a lot of dealerships is that the leaders are the people that have just been there the longest, and that's not the right way to create leaders. And then also another thing too is the sheer lack of training when it comes to leadership. We put people in roles to be leaders that have never been freaking taught or trained or picked up a book on leadership in their entire lives. Not saying there are some amazing ones out there, right?
Yeah.
But there are definitely a good chunk that are not in that position or shouldn't be in that position. And it's not because they're not good people. It's just because they don't have the freaking experience to lead.
They don't have the experience and they don't have the acumen and they just, it's unfortunate, but you're right. It doesn't make them bad people. They can be very good in maybe another role or something like that. But, it's gaining that experience and have the ability to work with teams and creating an accountability culture, which again, how many dealer groups, do you know that go through their multi-point inspection service manager with the techs and the service advisors every day, what they did the day before? Almost none. On the sales floor with Vin Solutions, use that example, which is a great CRM system, and I'm fairly familiar with it. Canada One Auto Group uses Vin Solutions as a daily reminder, and they go through with each salesperson, accountability-wise, what their outgoing activity was, what their incoming activity was, and things like that. So every day they know. You can even post it. You can send it out an email in the morning. There's an accountability, and that manager, the sales manager, the service manager, the parts manager, they're accountable every day.
Exactly.
And if a GM's not looking at that every day to see what the performance is, it takes a half an hour to look at. Don't think it's like a full day. It's not a full day. It's a half an hour to look at it in the morning glance. Did you go through with your sales guys, your one-on-ones? 5 minutes it takes. That's all it takes. Everyone seems to think it takes so much time. It's critical that the daily accountability turns into weekly, monthly, and yearly accountability, and it all rolls up like that.
You know what? Look, to sum up kind of our entire conversation, you did it right there. It's all about process. I mean, everything we've talked about pretty much from the beginning goes back to the fact that if you're going to be profitable, it's going to be from process. Process equates to profitability, right? We're talking, and our process not only creates profitability, but our process also creates the experience. Like people seem to think that this experience is just something that they can go buy. It's a tool or a widget. It's like, no, it is literally it is all encompassing. All the processes together is what actually generates it generates that experience. So, look, when we're trying to be more flexible to our customers, when we're trying to create more of an appointment culture, when we're even redefining that sales structure, it's like all of those processes not only lead us back to the path of profitability, but they also lead us in the direction of that experience, which can be either good or bad. And I think that's the key here, is that process may be generating profit for you right now, but may not be actually generating profit in the sense of a good experience. You may still have a bad experience. And I think that's where our industry for the last 12 months has learned a lot, is they're seeing that now for themselves. I know we've touched on some amazing points today. But before I let you go, Colin, I think there's still a lot to be said in this conversation. We may have to do a part 2 of this one. But
it can be a 3-hour special.
Dude, yeah, easily. We could do like a 24-hour like Clubhouse podcast marathon if we wanted to on this one. But for everyone out there that's watching and listening, I would love to connect with you and kind of continue to have this conversation. Yeah. What's the best way to do that?
Just get a hold of me with the contact information you have. My Omni-Channel Automotive Solutions. It's Colin at Omni-Channel Automotive Solutions. The website is www.omniautosolutions.com, and you can get a hold of me that way, and we can discuss further. The industry's exciting right now, and I think the amount of opportunity there for the right, the checking the box thing is going away. Mm-hmm. And they need to get into it because it's critical for their survival in a lot of cases.
Well said. Hey, Colin, thank you so much for taking the time to jam with me today. This has been a blast. You have yourself an amazing day.
You too, Jason. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to the Strategy Mob Podcast with your host, Jason Harris. Don't want to miss new content? Be sure to sign up to Be a Mobster at strategymob.com to stay in the know. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe.